What's going on, Neon Nation? Welcome back. I hope you all had a great weekend. Let's start your week off right with some Cyberpunk 2077 news and updates. In today's episode, we'll be going over a new Q&A from CDPR's Philip Weber, which just so happens to be under an unlisted page on the 2077 YouTube channel, a new Gamescom interview with Miles Tost where we learn exactly about the apparent lack of NPCs in some of the footage, and why we haven't seen some of the larger crowds of Night City, the Trauma Team comic book series and some new cover reveals, CDPR getting their hands on the Series X, and some additional details from the CDPR, Cyberpunk, and Witcher ecosystem. Sit back, grab a Cyberpunk, and enjoy. As always, check the link in the pinned comment to grab some Cyberpunk 2077 disc plates and get 15% off in the process. Moving into our first story of today, we have a brand new Q&A from senior quest designer Philip Weber. Weber starts off by mentioning that Night City is a melting pot of people, and in particular, there are a fair amount of Russian influences. There is most notably graffiti with Russian slang, nods to Russian literature and culture, as well as youth culture. Russian music is popular with the Scavs, who are one of the most widespread gangs in Night City that focus on harvesting organs and cyberware. One notable reference I've seen in some of the graffiti for the Scavs so far is a substance I personally learned about many years ago via Vice known as crocodile, a homebrewed opioid in the same vein to heroin. It turns the user's skin scaly and discolored, hence the name. Big props to CDPR for the research. When I first saw that, it instantly took me back to when I had first learned about it many years ago. Moving on, we have some details that you will be able to eat and drink. You won't have to regularly eat and drink because it's not a life simulator, but you can get hardy stats and combat boosts if you choose to do so, and this also has a narrative element where you can sit down with specific NPCs and grab some food or a drink. You can also drink alcohol and have the option to take some choice substances. Apparently, you'll be able to turn on the shower and toilet, buy things at shops, and simply sit on a bench and enjoy Night City's vistas. Weber mentions that the time of the day as well as weather will affect NPC density. Huge swarms of nightlife are possible, although some streets might be empty if it's dangerous or there isn't much going on. There will also be special story events with huge crowds. Now, I know a ton of people were mentioning a lack of NPC density in some of the latest B-roll footage, which is more indicative of the area versus a cutback to the NPC density overall. Weather is dynamic and includes sunshine, rain, fog, acid rain, as well as storms in the Badlands. Weber goes on to mention a wide variety of companions that will come and go, some of which are super important that they have yet to show. You can make friends, enemies, or lovers with some of these companions based on your in-game choices. Referencing the Maelstrom, Weber adds that you can have friends or mortal enemies from the Maelstrom as the game progresses, again depending on your choices. He hints at corporations in Cyberpunk as well. We've already heard extensively about Militech and Arasaka, but he also speaks on Sov Oil, which has yet to be referenced when it comes to the game. This is an integral petrochemical corporation from the Soviet Union who had a bitter feud with Petrochem, which was the basis of the Second Corporate War. It will be interesting to see what kind of presence, if any, they will have in Night City. Philip also mentions that in addition to cyberware which focuses on utility, there will also be cyberware that is purely aesthetic, just to make your character look cool. Although the game is first person, a deep photo mode is mentioned by Weber, meaning that this is still a feature of the game and will be one of the main ways to check out our characters, along with mirrors and of course the inventory menu. When it comes to starting the game, the vehicle that you will begin with will be a rust bucket, but as you progress you can buy more sporty vehicles like supercars and bikes and even get them as rewards from NPCs and quests. Massive AV ships and aerodynes will be for specific story moments, although someone else will be piloting them. Apparently there will also be multiple adventures with the Delaman AI taxi company, which I'm personally really looking forward to. Ways to make money include getting better gigs as you become a more famous mercenary, fist fighting and street racing wagers, as well as taking out big criminals for a bounty, to name a few. In the interactive dialogue system, we've seen instances where you can shoot or attack mid-conversation, and it does seem NPCs will be able to do the same if you don't choose your words wisely. If you are too aggressive in your speech, you will feel the repercussions. Character death is simply a game over screen, but mission failure is not. You will have to live with the consequences. There are also new ways that your character can get badly injured, which will apparently manifest in a variety of creative ways. Visual glitching after getting hacked by Sasquatch may be just an example of this. Weber goes on to mention that if you read cyberpunk literature or watch movies in the genre, there is a lot of variety in the types of stories that they're telling. The team feels like it's important to tell all of these stories, and Weber feels this is the most interesting thing to discuss in development. Why a quest is special and why it needs to be in the game are questions that they ask themselves during development. There will be more mystical elements of the game, but it will still be rooted in a sci-fi world. Weber also ends by mentioning that they again can't speak on multiplayer, but people are working on it, and that they really want the shooting to feel on par with a proper shooter. Next, we also have an interview with Miles Tost via Gamescom, who reveals a couple new details that, in addition to Philip's comments, are going to quell some NPC density concerns. Big thanks to Night City Life for the translation from German. First, it seems like CDPR is still tweaking their vehicle handling and physics and are still stuck between more arcadey versus more realistic mechanics. If you guys remember, Alana Pierce also mentioned that a dev notified her of a potential Forza-esque build during her hands-on session that was not in the game as of yet. In response to the NPC density, Miles echoes what Philip talked about in his Russian Q&A, with the added bonus that the Watson Street outside V's mega building actually might have some more people than what was shown in the 48-minute demo. On top of this, City Center is the most densely populated area and has even more than Watson. This is one thing that absolutely blew me away in the 48 minutes, just how many people are walking around on the streets doing their own thing. Now CDPR is telling us that there are areas with bigger crowds, and I have to say that seems pretty overwhelming. Just be prepared for your PS4s to sound like Boeing 747s. He also mentions that despite all they've shown us, we haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg of what this game offers. He mentions in particular that relatively speaking, we know next to nothing about Johnny Silverhand. Moving on, we have CDPR collecting some wins at Gamescom, taking home the best of the Gamescom Award for Best RPG, Best PlayStation Game, as well as overall Best Game of Gamescom, amongst a few other awards. CDPR keeps racking up some of these anticipatory awards pre-release, and it's probably safe to say that they will rack up a few more before launch. Now, for those wondering how CDPR could possibly take home awards when there was no presence of 2077 at Gamescom, we do have an explanation. Jury members working for the German rating board, who have just given 2077 its German age rating of 18+ with no censorship, have actually played a substantial amount of the content complete game. This was apparently a big factor in the awarding process. Also, as a little bonus, in CDPR's acceptance video, we can see a new piece of concept art that I don't believe we've seen yet, including what appears to be a new vehicle. Moving on, we have some new cover reveals for the Trauma Team comic book series set to release in September. We have 2 new covers, with the third being the most recent release hinting at a bloody affair. We've seen a hint of some of the panels from inside the comic book, so if you guys have yet to check them out, I'll put them on screen for you. Finally, we've also been following Spocko for the better part of a couple years, as they were acquired by CDPR in 2018, focusing on an upcoming mobile title. Well, that's finally been revealed, and it looks like we're getting a game in the Witcher universe akin to Pokemon Go named Monster Slayer. I'll likely be making a separate video for this, and again, it looks very Pokemon Go-esque with the augmented reality monsters, but this time with a strong narrative infusion as well as first-person combat. Very intrigued on this one, and we will be following this title to see how it pans out. As always, thanks for watching. For more CDPR and Cyberpunk news, join Neon Nation by subscribing to the Neon Arcade.